Hey everybody, before we get started, I want to let you know we're having the second annual Dead Meat Horror Awards this year. They were a hit last year, so we've decided to do them again, bigger and better. They'll be premiering on the channel on Sunday, March 26th. We'll have lots of cool presenters again, another awesome montage, and 3 new awards we're giving out, including a fan favorite. Hope to see you there, I can't wait for them. Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at Scream from 2022. Hey, 1996 called. It wants its title back. After Wes Craven's passing in 2015, the Scream film franchise seemed done. There were a few seasons of a show on MTV, but while it shared the name and eventually the Ghostface mask, it was entirely disconnected from the movies. No Woodsboro, no Stab franchise, no Sidney or Gale or Dewey. It was its own thing. 5 years ago, I said I was fine with no more Scream films getting made. I hope they never make a Scream 5 since Wes Craven wouldn't be involved, but if they do, you know I'll cover it on the Kill Count. But then I saw the news that the 5th film would be made by Radio Silence. Radio Silence is a filmmaking group consisting of directors Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillette, and producer Chad Villella. I'm a huge fan, especially since they got their start making videos on YouTube under the name Chad, Matt, and Rob. From that, they went on to make one of the best segments in VHS, and in 2019, Ready or Not, one of my favorite horror films that year. It perfectly blended horror and comedy, making them an ideal match for Scream. Full disclosure though, I have become friends with those boys. When the Ready or Not kill count got blocked from a copyright claim, they personally messaged me as fans of Dead Meat and helped get the claim released. They then came to our apartment for an interview on the podcast and even attended our wedding last year. And of course, they asked Chelsea and I to do a favor for them, which wound up being a cameo in this movie. Obviously, my commentary will be biased, but I'll still proudly say this movie rules. As with all Scream films, Part 5 functions as excellent commentary on the horror genre. A decade after Scream 4, there was plenty of new material to comment on. At the forefront, the idea of requels, which is why Scream 2022 has its simplified title and isn't called 5 Cream or whatever. It's a meta reference to legacy sequels like Halloween 2018 and Candyman 2021. Though these films have the same name as their original installments, they're not remakes or reboots like the movie Scream 4 commented on. Instead, they're new timelines for the series, serving as direct follow-ups to the original and ignoring the sequels that came between, sometimes even outright contradicting them.
Wasn't it her brother?
No, that's just a bit that some people made up to make him feel better, I think.
Requels often bring back characters from the first film while introducing new ones to follow in future entries. The appeal of a requel is its simplicity. Audience members can watch one without doing homework to understand what's going on. Scream 5, which I'll still call it, they're not fooling anyone, isn't a strict requel since the previous sequels are still canon and referenced repeatedly.
Last time it happened was in 2011.
But it uses requel elements and makes them the subject of its meta-commentary. Also up for discussion is so-called elevated horror, a serious contrast to the torture porn and cheesy slasher sequels discussed in Scream 4. Finally, the film touches on toxic fandom, the type of love for a property that turns into hatred when things don't go the way you want them to. Looking at you, some Star Wars fans. Scream 5 follows Sam Carpenter, a Woodsboro runaway who returns after a new Ghostface threatens her family. She's joined by new and returning characters in a film that pays constant homage to the series, from character relations to scene locations to replicating memorable shots. Some people thought it was too derivative, and sure, I would have preferred a few more surprises. But I understand the reluctance to be too drastically different. This is the revival of a beloved franchise, with new people in charge for the first time ever. There was probably a fear of pissing off the fan base, since these movies have always followed a formula.
A very simple formula!
I'm hoping Scream 6 will take some bigger swings, but in the meantime, Scream 5 is a welcome return to form. It's got a great pace, flowing from beat to beat seamlessly, and captures the same balance of humor and scares that the first film had. On top of all that, it's got some of the most brutal and bloodiest kills of the franchise, and it's my job to tell you how many there are. So let's get to them. The movie begins, all together now, with a phone call. The famous face picking it up this time is Jenna Ortega playing Tara Carpenter, named after Halloween creator John. Ortega's a 2-time kill count veteran who TikToked her way into our hearts with Wednesday, but ain't no TikTok on this landline phone.
Hello, is Christina there?
No, she's not available. May I take a message?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, sorry.
It's returning Ghostface voice actor Roger L. Jackson, with some extra voice acting as he starts with an unassuming stuttery delivery before smoothly sliding into Ghostface territory.
You love art and TV and movies.
Until finally, we're back to the classics.
What's your favorite scary movie?
We all know the beats of this conversation, but Jackson still makes it scary.
Would you like to play a game, Tara?
Tara's been texting with her bestie Amber, but Ghostface pulls a switcheroo and threatens to kill her friend, with a video showing them right outside her window. To save Amber, Tara will have to survive some stab trivia. But unlike the stab heads in Scream 4, this young horror fan isn't familiar with the series.
And it was like super 90s.
She prefers so-called elevated horror, name-dropping movies like The Babadook and It Follows. She cheats on her test with IMDb, giving us plenty of Easter eggs, including the fact that in Stab, Stu Macher was played by Psycho 1998's Vince Vaughn. It also says Principal Himbry was played by Ron Howard, which is funny, since Howard became a household name as Richie Cunningham in Happy Days, acting alongside Henry Winkler, who actually played Himbry in Scream. Despite the crib sheet, Tara fails to name both killers in the original Stab. She runs to send out an Amber Alert, only to find a ghoulish Ghostface greeter. She hits him with her fist phone, and they ring around the Rosie, until slashes, she falls down. The Casey Becker belly stabs, followed up with a broken ankle. Ouch! Then he stabs her in the hand, and raises the knife above his head. And you know what Jesus said next. Title card! Tara's estranged sister Sam gets a call about the attack, and we find out she survived. For the first time in the franchise, the opening kill wasn't a kill at all.
What?
Damn, that Tara is strong. This is an awesome subversion of the formula, mostly because it means more Jenna Ortega. Sam heads southbound to Woodsboro, with her the boy's friend Richie Kirsch tagging along. Unlike Sam, Richie isn't from Woodsboro, and since they don't get the Stab movies in District 1, Sam has to fill him in, saying they're slashers about a masked killer.
Sounds a lot like Halloween.
All right, it's a little like Halloween.
Okay.
Woodsboro's looking good in 90s out here, even though the high school is played by a third building in the franchise. It's now Williston Middle School in Wilmington, North Carolina, which is where the movie was shot, filling in for California. Tara's friend group discusses her attack. Best friend Amber Freeman, whom Ghostface had been threatening via text, twin siblings Mindy and Chad, a horror nut and dreamy jock, respectively, Chad's girlfriend Liv McKenzie, an outsider to the group who Mindy doesn't care for, and Wes Hicks, named after Scream's director Wes Craven. He's the justifiably paranoid one of the group, probably since his mother is Scream 4's Judy Hicks, now the sheriff of Woodsboro. As always in Scream, the fountainless friends waste no time accusing each other.
Tara said she fought back hard. You've got bruises.
It's from football practice.
They visit Tara at the hospital and are with her when Sam arrives. Tara's happy to see her sister again, who left 5 years ago as soon as she turned 18. Sam's teenage years were troublesome after their dad abruptly left the family. She got into drugs and trouble with the law, including then Deputy Judy Hicks. It's a lot of backstory, but it'll tie into the original, just like a good requel should. Tara's friends are making a requel to a 90s Budweiser commercial when the underage drinkers get harassed by an overage stinker named Vince Schneider. He hooked up with Liv once and has been creeping around doing the obvious suspect routine. Chad's been itching to spin off his Fast and Furious fists into their own franchise.
Time to introduce him to Hobbs and Shaw.
But Vince brought a knife to this gun show, and it gets everyone kicked out. Bearded Skull's makeup effects handled the movie's gore and also provided Vince's tough guy tattoos. Makeup department head Rick Poor helped make Vince a walking Easter egg, since he's tatted up with shoutouts to Craven films like Nightmare on Elm Street, Shocker, Red Eye, and Last House on the Left, as well as other slashers like Friday the 13th. Vince's screen time is brief, but he's made memorable by Kyle Gallner, another two-time kill count vet whose 2022 also included Smile. The horror vet is worthy of a death scene featuring Red Right Hand, which returns to the franchise playing from the speakers in his car while he's taking a leak. He turns off the music right before the song climaxes, but it returns non-diegetically as Ghostface stabs the Red Right Herring in the neck. Yeah, he deserved it for what he did to Veronica Mars. His capping off is capped off with a classic knife wipe. Back at the hospital, Sam gets a call from Dr. Ghostface, who says he knows her hidden family history.
Who is this?
Someone who knows your little family's secret.
It turns into a house call, which sadly becomes the closest thing this movie has to a chase scene. The Scream films have always featured excellent chase scenes. It's a bummer this one drops that part of the formula. The face does follow the formula when it comes to disappearing though, and with such a direct threat against her, Sam decides to sit Tara down, or I guess she was already seated, for a Carpenter family candid. When Sam was a teenager, she found her mom's high school diary and learned that their dad wasn't her dad. Their unseen mom had cheated on their unseen dad in high school and got pregnant with another guy's kid. Mama Carpenter lied and told their father Sam was his, so he did the right thing and put a ring on it. When Sam confronted her mom about this, she accidentally revealed it to their unknowing dad, which caused him to leave their family that night.
I'm the reason he left.
It's a messy sitch, but the kicker is the identity of Sam's real father.
It was Billy Loomis.
This is a big swing from screenwriters Guy Busick and James Vanderbilt, who also produced the film and was the one who hired Radio Silence. He and Busick had both worked with them on Ready or Not. The writers reason that Scream has always been about Sidney and Billy's families. They continue that here with Sam being Billy's surprise daughter. I don't love this revelatory relation, but it doesn't bother me too much either. It feels appropriate for a requel, and it's no worse than Sidney's surprise brother. He still got to make his movie. Perhaps more questionable is the fact that Sam sees visions of her dead daddy Dearest.
How you doing, Sam?
The Force Ghostface is played by a marvelously de-aged Skeet Ulrich, who filmed all his scenes against a green screen in a single day near the end of shooting. His voice and appearance only required the slightest bit of digital adjustment, since the directors wanted to avoid uncanniness, and also because Ulrich just aged super fucking well. Tara is justifiably tired of the cloaks and daggers, so she tells her sister to get the fuck out. Sam does, then tells Richie he should get the fuck out as well, considering the danger he's in here. But this is Huey Campbell, girl. He's nothing if not loyal.
But I'm staying. I love you.
The two decide to go to an expert, Woodsboro's ex-deputy, ex-sheriff, and now ex-husband, Dewey Riley.
It's been a tough 10 years for Dewey.
He lives by himself in a trailer, adorned with pictures of dogs he's rescued. Oh, that's nice. He schedules his day around Gail's morning show, broadcast from New York. I love how legitimately happy he is to see her succeed. It's also nice to see he still thinks of his sister Tatum. It's a common criticism of the series that he never directly addresses it. They tried to rectify this in Scream 4, but the scene wound up being deleted.
Weird about that pet door frame around her neck.
My sister,
What?
Tatum. She was a victim in the original Woodsboro massacre.
Sam earns a ticket inside his trailer by telling him who her father is. Dewey's no Randy Meeks when it comes to horror, but he does know how to survive a stab or two.
Rule number 1, never trust the love interest.
He advises them to look into Tara's friend group, but when they ask him to tag along, they lose their QuickTime event and get kicked out of his trailer. Still, with another face ghosting around town, Dewey warns his friends. First is a happier, healthier Sidney Prescott, whom he hasn't talked to in years. She's married Mark McScreamy Kincaid from Scream 3, and the two of them have 3 off-screen kids together. I love seeing a successful Sid, who agrees to stay away and keep herself protected.
I'm Sidney fucking Prescott. Of course I have a gun.
Neve Campbell was hesitant to do a Scream without Wes, but the directors sent her a letter about how much Craven meant to them, and their reverence for the man and the movies convinced her to return. Dewey also hasn't talked to Gal in years, but when it comes to warning her, all he can muster is a text.
Probably shouldn't have sent the smiley face.
But after seeing a picture of him and Gal together, a real one of Arquette and Cox from when they were married, he decides he is ready to rumble after all, so he dusts off his old badge and gun. Dewey's theme plays as he joins Sam and Richie, just in time for an all-hands meeting at Chad and Mindy's house. Their uncle was Randy Meeks, and they've honored him with a home theater. Hope it got that Dolby Atmos at least. Their last name is Meeks Martin, a hyphenated surname of their unseen father and their mother, Martha Meeks, Randy's little sister, played by Heather Matarazzo, reprising her role from Scream 3. She's so funny as she welcomes them to the dollhouse.
Suspects.
She and Dewey share a hug, reminding us that they've known each other going back at least 20 years. The twins aren't this movie's only characters with a famous uncle. That Vince guy was Stu Macher's nephew through Stu's never-before-mentioned little sister. These ties to the OG Scream crew lets Mindy know what the killer's aim is.
Oh my god, he's making a requel.
She channels her namesake with a meta Meeks monologue, talking about how legacy sequels have replaced remakes and reboots.
Black Christmas, Child's Play, Flatliners. That shit doesn't work. But you can't just do a straight sequel either. You gotta build something new, but not too new, or the internet goes bug fucking nuts.
Jasmine Savoy Brown does an exceptional job as this movie's Randy stand-in. She talks about how Stab fans, especially the ones on 4chan and Reddit, rebelled against the 8th Stab, directed by Rian Johnson. It's a reference to how his Star Wars film, Episode 8 The Last Jedi, pissed off a lot of Star Wars fans who said it ruined the franchise. This dialogue no doubt doubly serves as Radio Silence's own worries when it came to making a Scream.
To some people, the original is their favorite thing in the world. The movie that made them love horror.
That statement is true for me and for directors Bettinelli, Open, and Gillette. They never got to meet Wes personally, but they say Craven and Scream is why they make horror movies in the first place. Radio Silence wanted the new Scream to harken back to the original, but still feel like a modern movie in 2022. After getting Kevin Williamson's blessing for the project, they brought in more crew members who had worked on Ready or Not, like composer Brian Tyler and director of photography Brett Jukowitz. Jukowitz shot with Panasonic anamorphic lenses, just like the first 4 films, to preserve the franchise's look. A month after shooting Scream, he'd be in Wilmington again, shooting The Black Phone for Scott Derrickson. Mindy says that requel rules mean legacy survivors can die, and that Sam might be the killer. I mean, she is the one with a ghost face daddy. Sam takes off and reflects on the situation with a mirror-obstructing, bloodthirsty Billy boy.
Let's get out there, find out who's doing this, and cut some fucking throats!
Sheriff Judy's out on a drive of her own, picking up dinner for her and Wes. On the way, she gets a hands-free call from a hands-on killer.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I prefer animated films and musicals.
Well, that's a shame. She probably can't appreciate the Psycho reference her son is wallowing in. While I thought she was fine in Scream 4, Scream 5 makes me really appreciate Judy Hicks as a fun, well-developed character. Marley Shelton plays her perfectly as a competent and content suburban mom. It's hilarious that even her texting style is in character, as is the decoration of her home, thanks to set decorator Helen Britton. The periodic table of vegetables is so her. And on top of it all, she's still making them infidelious lemon squares. Ghostface threatens Wes, which is a good way to scare Judy. She treats him like a little bubble boy. She rushes back home to his aid, but Ghostface surprises her with some sugar and slice. I guess her suburb's just a little too sleepy, because this broad daylight brutalizing goes unseen. Damn, the sun really bring out Ghostface's sparkles, huh? Inside, Wes is too busy providing eye candy to know about his recent orphaning. He's played by Dylan Minnette, Jack Shepard's son in Lost, and previously seen on this show in Don't Breathe, the good one. There's an enjoyably drawn out sequence with lots of playful fake-outs, until Wes gets to the front door and Ghostface screams, "Let me in." Wes puts up a fight, but Ghostface kills him by slowly but surely winning the struggle, with a knife stab that comes out the other side of his neck. Fuck! This movie's kills may not be super innovative, but man are they graphic. Good stuff. Sam arrives at the crime scene, as does Gal Weathers. She's back in Woodsboro, rocking a red tribute to her 90s look. They briefly bond over Judy Hicks's disdain for both of them, until Gal spots a certain ex-deputy poking around. Gal and Dewey's conversation clues us in about the past 10 years. When Gal got her show in New York, they moved there together, but Dewey only stayed for 2 months. He left her to return to Woodsboro, the reverse of their breakup between Screams 2 and 3. That was when Gal left Dewey because she couldn't handle staying in Woodsboro. Once again, it's a sad but believable fate for these characters who are as different as night and later that night.
You just were meant to be in Woodsboro.
And you were?
Filming this scene proved to be an emotional experience for Cox and Arquette, given how their long personal history is so intertwined with these characters. The first take was too tearful to use, from both the actors and the crew. Sam calls up Richie, who's continuing his stab research on YouTube with someone we all know.
That shit is
You heard right, that voice was Matthew Lillard's, doing a vocal cameo as the flamethrowing Chrome Face. I'm just kidding. I was of course referring to how Kirby is confirmed to be alive in a suggested video, hell yeah! Okay, the scene also features Chelsea and me in a cameo. And don't even get me started on Ghostface's signature new weapon.
that shit is
Chelsea even gets the meta joke about how Stab 8 was simply called Stab, just like this movie's title is Scream.
And can we talk about the title? Stab? What, just like the original? Just call it Stab 8. It's fucking Stab 8. You're not fooling anyone.
It's just such bullshit. We talked about it more in a podcast episode, but after a text from Radio Silence, we filmed this cameo on the previous podcast setup in our home. Then we sent it in and waited silently for months to see how it would get used. Again, coolest thing we've ever done with Dead Meat. We're playing fictionalized douchebag versions of ourselves on a channel called Film Fails. Decipher that for yourself. Dead Meat is listed in the suggested videos with a Ryan Johnson interview, alongside another video asking if Stu Macher is still alive, hinting at the aborted Scream 3 plot / current popular fan theory.
Will we see him again? I have no idea.
Sam realizes there aren't any cops at the hospital watching Tara. Shouldn't have trusted this guy to do it. I bet he left his post to go throw flyers all around town. She tells Richie to meet her at the hospital as she and Dewbear race to get there. They better hurry, since Sis is getting terrified among these empty hallways. Seriously, Woodsboro, y'all need to hire more doctors and nurses. Your hospital shouldn't look like a high school on a Sunday night. Not wanting to get super stabbed again, old Bloody Hands McGee wheels herself down the hall. I normally hate when horror characters are confined to a hospital, hospital. Cough, cough, Halloween's 2 and kills. But Tara is active enough to make it work. She finds the body of a police officer with a slit throat, gurgling and gasping as he dies out on the floor. She hides and hits Richie with a phone, dick, when he scares her opening the door.
She hit me with a phone?
Aw shit, then Ghostface is here! Taking out Richie, and, well, frankly, they don't need to do too much more to Tara. Ghostface activates their new mask-mounted voice changer so they can talk to Sam on Richie's phone. The older sis stalls them long enough to arrive so Dewey can provide cover fire. Unfortunately, Dewey's always been trained for torso shots. He's never been a huge fan of Al Snow.
Doing what?
When he remembers his Roman lesson, he sends everyone else down an elevator while he goes back to finish his 12-hour shift. Before Dewey can execute this possibly unconscious suspect, Ghostface strikes first with stabs to the gut and the back. No worries though, the Deuster's been stabbed plenty of times before. Oh shit, wait, a kill graphic? Oh no, my eyebrow wiggling doom man. Say it ain't so!
It's an honor.
Oh, fuck! It is so! Damn you, Ghostface! Damn you, Ghostface! The horror heartbreak piles on as Gal goes through slow mourning. Sam offers her condolences, but it's Sydney who provides a shoulder to cry on, having returned to Woodsboro because of Dewey's death and ready to go on the offensive to protect her family. God, I'm bummed that we never got one last scene with Sydney and Dewey together in person. Sam and Tara decide that the best way to survive is to
Blow this pop stand!
Good call. It worked for Joel the cameraman. Even though Sydney and Gale warn them that Ghostface will follow, Sam insists on taking Tara back home with her and Richie. On the way, Tara realizes she's missing her inhaler. Not wanting to be caught off guard in case of Pennywise attack, the trio detours to pick up a spare at Amber's house. She's having a third act party there, a memorial for Wes Hicks that doubles as a tribute to director Craven.
To Wes!
Vocal cameos abound here, layered together in that cheers. Lillard, Bettinelli, Open, and Gillette are in there, as well as previous Scream actors Jamie Kennedy, Hayden Panettiere, Henry Winkler, Adam Brody, and Drew Barrymore, who lent her voice earlier to another audio cameo as the school principal.
A reminder that all classes and school activities are canceled tomorrow due to public safety concerns.
Other members of the Scream family include Kevin Williamson, composer Marco Beltrami, editor Patrick Lussier, Scream 3 producer Julie Plec, and Scream 4 producer and Wes Craven's widow, Aya LaBunca. Finally, there's Ryan Johnson, in-universe director of the fan-maligned Stab 8. Johnson was supposed to make a larger cameo in a press junket parodying the fan backlash to The Last Jedi, but it was cut because of his commitment to Glass Onion. The party is rife with suspicious encounters. Amber and Mindy bump heads in the basement, and Chad refuses to bump uglies with Liv. It puts an end to any potential joyride with her, earning a sarcastic Siskel and Ebert from his sis. Chad eventually gets concerned when Liv doesn't come back, while Mindy's only concerned with watching Stab. In this case, never before seen to us footage of a party scene with an actor playing her uncle. The actor is Christopher Speed, as briefly shown earlier on the IMDb page. He's an unknown actor, unlike the rest of Stab's cast, which lines up with Randy's complaint in Scream 2.
Joe blow nobody to play me.
Also, holy shit, I can't believe how well they match the clothing and appearance of these characters. Although that don't look like no Vince Vaughn to me, it does look like a film fail. Chad wants to check on Liv, but Mindy says he'll need more protection than his blue and yellow jacket, so he grabs a candlestick like this were Clue. Chad is played by Mason Gooding, son of actor Cuba Gooding Jr., and a fan of this channel, as we learned in an interview.
James and Chelsea, I'm such a big fan of you guys. You guys are so good, dude. What?
That led to him and his good boy Iggy being presenters at last year's Horror Awards. The Woodsboro leather jacket he wears is the same design worn by Steve Orth in the original. It was recreated by costume designer Emily Gunshore, who gave Liv a plaid skirt in an homage to Tatum's. Chad gets a request from Liv to share his location on an app they talked about earlier. He follows the ping into the darkness, where he's greeted with a stab to the leg by Mr. Ghostface. The Theismann Trophy winner beats down the killer and hides behind a shed, but when he makes a break for it, he's unable to complete the Casey Beck-athlon. As Richie, Sam, and Tara arrive, Ghostface makes mincemeat of Chad's obliques. Amber ends the party so she can grab Tara's inhaler. Richie helps speed things up, prompting a cry of party foul from Jamie Kennedy doing another VO cameo.
Somebody's goofy-ass dad is kicking us out.
The interruption also messes with Mindy trying to rizz up a cute girl, so she blows off Richie's request for company and allows him to break more horror rules.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Elsewhere, Woodsboro and Sidstein are following a tracking device Sid planted on Sam's car. A lot of people thought the legacy characters were underutilized, and to some extent that's true. But unlike Scream 4, this is an actual passing of the torch movie, meant to establish a new crop of main characters. It does that job well, and besides, Nev, Courtney, and David all make the most of the screen time they get. The legacy ladies reflect on the long path that brought them here, going all the way back to Gail's first book.
I started all of this. No, you didn't.
Yeah, no you didn't, Gail. It was
Billy
Roman
Loomis.
Bridger. Whoa, Sid. Forgot about bro? That kind of amnesia earns you a film fail. I know Roman was a whiny bitch, but this is Scream 3 erasure. Huh. Maybe this is a real requel. Sid realizes where the Carpenters have stopped their tour, and it looks like things have only just begun.
You're in Stu Mocker's house where your dad and Stu killed everyone.
It's a fun twist if you didn't see the trailers, though it bugs me that this is a set, not the actual location. I'll admit, I didn't realize it the first time I saw the movie, even after having visited the real house in person. But once I did, I couldn't ignore how tight all the shots were. Not even this big reveal pull-out shot comes close to matching the sweeping crane shots from the first film. Still, it's an impressively accurate reconstruction of the house that left the legacy cast members emotional.
I got a little teary, to be honest.
The only thing off that I noticed was the basement door. In the real house, and in the first movie, that had been a pantry where Stu and Billy were hiding Papa Prescott. They probably used a set to save money, since this movie's budget wasn't as big as Screams 3 and 4. I know that building a set sounds expensive, but it often saves money in the long run over shooting on location. On a set, you can rig things however you want to, with as many holes as you need to get the lighting right. The set was built by production designer Chad Keith, who took the recreation seriously, even hand painting the kitchen tiles to match.
Down to the T, it's exactly the replica of the original.
He added bird art to the foyer in honor of Wes Craven, who was an avid bird watcher. The set helped everyone bond too. They watched the first film on the lawn as radio silence projected it on the wall. Production was described as having summer camp vibes, with the cast and crew playing deception games like Secret Hitler.
Some people would drop out at a certain point because they were like, they knew it would devolve into a shouting match. Like, I would just scream at the directors.
Returning to Stu's house gives us a meta maximalist version of Randy's couch shot. Hell, the Meeks niece is even wearing the same colored outfit as Ghostface makes his move. Her self-awareness kicks in and she actually turns around, giving Sam enough time to jump in and intervene. The supporting cast filters in, so accusations can start a-flying again.
I'm not the fucking killer! I know.
Oh shit!
Welcome to Act 3.
Talk about an explosive act break. Amber sent that nothing character back to oblivion. Outside, the cavalry arrives and arms up. You get a gun. You get a gun. That Amber chick, she gets a gun. Gail gets shot in the gut again, so Sydney's forced to head inside this nightmare house from her past on her own. She takes a call from the killer, but Sid's nearly 50 and sick of this shit.
You forgot the first rule of surviving a stab movie. Never answer the...
I'm bored.
Wait! Sid calls out for anyone there to leave, then opens fire into many a door. One shot hits Richie in the leg since he was hiding, but nothing a little Compound V won't heal. Ghostface comes out and tackles Sydney over the railing, incapacitating both of them on the ground floor. She asks Richie to hobble his way towards the dropped gun, but the way Richie's taking those stairs looks awfully familiar. Is that because, fuck, Richie's the second goddamn Ghostface.
It's a bummer it's me.
For the first time since the OG, the BF is GF, even though this one was way more of a goofy nice boy like Derek than Killy Billy, who wore his psychopathy on his short white sleeve. For what it's worth, I think Jack Quaid plays both versions of this character exceptionally well. He's hilarious as the nice guy supportive boyfriend, and scary when he snaps as the killer. Richie and Amber, who are also dating apparently, take the after party to the kitchen to recreate the ending of the original Stab. They're huge fans of the series, and even met each other on the Stab subreddit. They're more annoying about Stab than those film fails fuckheads.
How can fandom be toxic?
They're pissed about how their beloved franchise has turned out and want to provide new real-life material it can adapt into another movie. They plan to pin their killing spree on Sam and her Loomis lineage. They bring in Gail from the front lawn and press a blade into Prescott. Oh man, quit stabbing Sydney, y'all! Amber goes to retrieve Tara, but instead gets a face full of crutch. Earlier, Sam had found her sister and untied her. In the ensuing chaos, Sam gets away with Richie chasing after her. Amber battles with the legacy characters in the kitchen, where Sid washes out her potty mouth with a face full of hand sanitizer. The Team Terror regains the upper hand and strangles Gale, then gets stupidly spitty as she confirms that she killed Dewey.
I can't believe I get to do you both.
Is it believable that this Ghostface is the 5'3" Amber? No, not at all. So yeah, I guess that'll earn this movie its third film fail. But whatever, man, Mikey Madison is an excellent Stu stand-in. She brings the same unhinged energy previously provided by Matthew Lillard and Timothy Oliphant. The fight heats up and Gale avenges Dewey by capping Amber's ass, unintentionally setting her ablaze for a fiery finish. The first fire stunt in Scream, alright! Radio Silence actually considered changing this scene since Madison has a similar fate in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Ultimately, they decided it was a funny coincidence and kept it in. Richie has followed Sam's blood trail upstairs, and though she manages to disarm him, her gut wound proves to be a disadvantage. If only there were a weapon that she could— Ah yes, a green umbrella, a classic! Oh wait, what's that dead end? Oh yeah, a knife's probably better, huh? Sam wipes away Richie's smug smile by shish kebabbing his cheeks. She proceeds to stab the ever-loving hell out of him. Seriously, I counted 21 stabs to the torso. That's one more than the amount in that kill at the end of Candyman. Richie stops her long enough to set up a one-liner.
What about my ending?
Here it comes.
And a throat slit puts an end to his veto. Sam punctuates the kill with a ghost-faced knife wipe, which would surely make her killer papa proud. That is one thing I don't love about this movie. The Ghost Billy stuff looks good, but it feels a bit too redemptive for a character who was interesting because of how evil he was. Sam's joined by her 4 sisters, and Sid barely has time to say they always come back before Sam's blowing brain bits all over the floor. Not concerning at all. Of course, we still have room for one last scare, in the form of a Freddy-fied Amber. Talk about a die-hard fan. She's killed by Tara with a headshot.
I still prefer the Babadook.
To what? Getting killed? Like, obviously. Mindy's wheeled out on a stretcher, having survived like Dewey did in the original. Even better, her twinsy Chad survived as well. Thumbs up for survivors, right, Tara?
Take us to a different hospital this time.
Yeah, maybe one with people and lights. Sam says her goodbyes to her newfound gal pals, who should probably be getting medical attention. I mean, Gal got shot, Sydney got stabbed, and they've got those end-of-movie trauma blankets. I guess they'll be fine. Sam gives a parting glance to her non-canceled ghost dad before riding with Tara to the hospital. We zoom out in a recreation of the OG's final shot, with digital exterior extensions done by Redefine. The movie ends with one last tribute to the franchise's original helmsman, with bird sounds in the background for Wes. How many bodies got dropped like the number in the title of this film? Let's find out and get to the kills. Oh! What? No, not the kills. The numbers, Zoran. The numbers.
Zoran? You must be dumber than your film fails character. If it's numbers you want, though, I'm happy to oblige. Eight people died in Scream, consisting of 5 men and 3 women. That's similar to but different than the original. Just how I like it. I may have gotten fewer kills than the last movie, but that's okay. There's always next time. With a runtime of 114 minutes, I helped give you a kill on average every 14¼ minutes. You're welcome. I'll give the golden chainsaw for my coolest kill to Dewey. That guy's had his ticket punched for far too long. It truly was an honor to finally gut him like a fish. Dull machete for lamest kill will go to Deputy Clay. Was that his name? I never really asked. And that's it. Scream was released in 2022. Next Friday, March 10th, I make like a Voorhees and take Manhattan in Scream 6. Until then, I'm the only true Ghostface. This has been the Kill Count.
Thanks a lot for watching this kill count, and thank you, Roger Jackson, for recording those lines. Holy shit, that was so fucking cool. He sent them in to me and was like, will this work? And I was like, fuck yeah, dude. And huge thanks to Radio Silence for, of course, hooking me up with him. I get to do some of the coolest shit sometimes, and please don't think I ever take it for granted. Like, I pretend to be chill when I'm talking to all these people, but I am fanboying the fuck out inside. We've had a real rough go of it lately with power outages and internet outages and Chelsea getting COVID, so that sucks. But we're pressing through to try to give you the stuff that we said we'd give you. I want to thank some patrons like Olivia Bushman, Daniel Kopnick, Stephanie Leffler, Patrick Fitzgerald, Trisha Glasnovich, Andrew Jackson, Stephen Sharnikow, Sergeant Schlock, Zachariah, and Shane and Katie. Thanks everyone. Be good people.